Good evening, I am at CF3 Loyal on Twitter, staying at home every other Saturday. And despite the season not actually finishing, we are at the point of year we do start to look ahead at the squad for next season. And probably no different to other Rangers supporters, I'm on WhatsApp just now chatting to my mates about what that squad might look like. And I thought, what more would the Rangers community want other than another opinionated supporter coming on and chatting about their own views. I literally sit here with zero inside knowledge. As a complete novice, appreciating that there's a lot of fantastic Rangers content out there already. In my kitchen with zero Rangers memorabilia, so your feedback is very much welcome. And any positive feedback I'll be sure to pass on to my wife in the hope that I do get a dedicated Rangers room. So tonight I'm going to chat through goalkeeper. I'm going to chat through in goals. In my opinion, it's one of the easiest positions for us as supporters to predict for next year without being in ahead of Steven Gerrard. Like most clubs, we have three goalkeepers. There's a first choice, second choice, third choice. Number one is always that stalwart, someone who we have the confidence in. It's going to keep us clean sheets and save us in big occasions, as Alan McGregor certainly did last year in the Europa League. Second choice needs to be somebody very capable of stepping in case your first choice decides to go and karate kick Mark McNulty against Hibernian, for example. But somebody who recognises himself that they are competing for that number one jersey and needs to be prepared that they're going to be on the bench for potentially certainly the beginning of the season. And then the third choice needs to be somebody who is very comfortable with the fact that they might not even be involved in the matchday squad, albeit they will be travelling to European games. But someone who can still push for number one, number two, who's very capable of stepping in if needed. As I said, that they recognise themselves that they are behind a strong number one and number two. That person typically as well needs to be a strong character in the dressing room. So let's look at the goalkeepers we had in our squad last year. So starting off with Alan McGregor, our number one. Alan McGregor's a fantastic goalkeeper. I think, as I said earlier on, probably the easiest position to predict next year. He's going nowhere. He's going to retire at Rangers, I'd imagine, certainly in the twilight of his years. But like last season, he kept us in a lot of games, albeit he did have certain moments where he decided to karate kick Mark McNulty. But yeah, I predict that Alan McGregor will be our number one next year. I think everyone can agree on that. Wes Foderingham. Wes Foderingham was our number one under previous managers before Steven Gerrard came in and signed Alan McGregor. And I think probably most Rangers fans recognise that he's a little hard done by. At times, Wes got a bit of a hard time from supporters, but in my opinion, and I sit right behind the goals in Copeland Road, Copeland Front, I think Wes never let us down. I think he was a great shot stopper and his distribution was second to none. But with the opportunity to sign someone like Alan McGregor comes along, you've got to take it. And unfortunately that meant that Wes dropped down to number two. And as we've obviously seen this week, he's one of 6 players that's been released at the end of his contract by the club. And I think most supporters will agree with me that we wish him well as he leaves the club and recognises that he probably deserves to go and be a number one elsewhere, most likely in the English Championship. So Foderingham is gone, and we probably have that space now for number two to open up. Number 3, Andy Firth. I spoke about someone who's capable of stepping in. I'm sure Firth is more than capable of stepping in. I spoke about someone who's happy to be deputy to a 1 and a 2. He's been here now a year, and I think he recognises that is his role. And I spoke about somebody who's a big, loud character in the dressing room, and I think we can all agree that Andy Firth is that. So I think 1 and 3 is pretty set as our goalkeepers next year. For number 2, Jack Annick's just left. I think Jack Annick pushed Wes at times before Steven Gerrard came in and also loaned him out to Blackpool. But he's another one of the 6 that's just been released, so we can score Jack Annick out of contention, which leaves one first team goalkeeper, and that's Robbie McCrorie. Coincidentally, the only McCrorie brother not to play in goals yet for the Rangers first team. Robbie has had a number of loan spells. He's very highly regarded at Rangers. Last year he was loaned out initially to Queen of the South, where he earned rave reviews, and then latterly to Livingston. The Livy goalkeeping coach actually said that Robbie McCrorie was the best goalkeeper he'd ever worked with, which is high praise considering he had worked with Liam Kelly the previous year and a few years before that. And I think most Rangers supporters potentially looked at Liam Kelly, somebody who could have came back to fill the number 1 jersey when Alan McGregor does leave. So I think Robbie McCrorie looks like a long-term successor to Alan McGregor. And it's a decision for the manager to make just now, whether you make Robbie McCrorie number 2 to sit on the bench and watch and learn from Alan McGregor, or to loan him out and gain further first-team experience. My personal opinion is that the majority of Robbie's loans so far have been in the lower leagues, up until the last period from January where he went to Livy. But we've obviously had the stoppage, and he probably didn't get as many games as he had hoped at the top flight. And for that reason, I think we will loan Robbie McCrorie out again next season to another top flight opposition, and I think it will be to Livingston again. I hope that gives him great experience. It certainly gave guys like Alan McGregor the experience when he was loaned out as a youngster to teams like Dunfermline. So I expect Robbie McCrorie to go out on loan next year, which means when you look at the current goalkeepers we have in our squad, we don't have a number 2. So I think we will sign a number 2 in the summer. I expect us to spend the majority of our budget on players that are going to start in the starting 11. Although I recognise, I think one of the biggest weaknesses this year is that our squad wasn't strong enough when called upon, when we needed to change games or when players were missing. We didn't have the same level of quality coming in. But I do think we're going to sign a number 2, probably on the cheap, most likely a free. And I think what we'll be looking for in a number 2 goalkeeper is somebody who's a little bit older, most likely around the 30 mark, somebody who's played a lot of games. We've probably been linked with one or two so far. The one that springs to mind immediately is Vaclav Hladky. Hopefully I've pronounced that right. He's the goalkeeper at St Mirren. He earned good reviews at St Mirren last year. One of the things I didn't like about Hladky was his agent apparently said that he would prefer a move to the English Championship. Nobody should prefer a move to anyone other than Rangers. Obviously, we're all biased, but let's be honest. Rangers, English Championship, it's a no-brainer. But we have been looking at Hladky apparently, so he's certainly someone on the radar. The two players that I do think are certainly potentials are John McLaughlin of Sunderland. He was previously at Hearts. He fits the bill. He's out of contract in the summer. He's been involved in the Scotland setup. He's clearly a decent goalkeeper. I've got a friend who's a Sunderland fan, raved about McLaughlin, said he was a very good goalkeeper. So it probably fits the bill in terms of what we are looking for a deputy if he's prepared to come and be back up to Alan McGregor. So one to watch. And the last one, again, same division, is Craig McGillivray from Portsmouth. Unlike the previous two, he has one more year left in his contract. But the likelihood is Portsmouth will not get promoted next year, and he may want to move. Another Scot, potentially want to increase his profile. I think he's a little bit younger. I think he's around 27, 28. But another one that I think we may look at. So prediction is we will definitely have Alan McGregor, Andy Firth as our first and third choice, and I think we'll go ahead and sign a number 2. So one to watch this space. Let's hope we do bring in someone who is capable of pushing Alan McGregor, capable of stepping in when required, and happy to be competing for that jersey. Exciting times ahead when we look at the transfer window. That's probably a less glamorous signing. But as I said at the beginning of the vlog, please give me a feedback on whether you think that today's content was worth watching, and if you agree that it is, I will go ahead and do another position. I'm thinking I might go ahead and do centre forward next, because I think it's probably the second easiest position to do in our team right now. Controversial, I know. But yes, please leave me your comments. I don't know how it works on YouTube. I've never had a comment. I think I've got 2 or 3 videos uploaded to YouTube right now, so no idea how it looks if you do upload feedback. But please give me your feedback on YouTube or on Twitter. It's much appreciated. Thank you. Stay safe. See you after.